Okay, now that we've talked about all shapes with all different numbers of sides, we're going to focus on the shapes that have 4 sides. So the first kind of shape that has 4 sides we're going to talk about is trapezoids. So how do I know if a shape is a trapezoid? Is because it only has one pair of parallel sides, and they are marked with these little arrows. That's what parallel means. These 2 sides would never touch each other if they kept going and going. So we need to know specific properties about these trapezoids, and we need to use them to solve problems. So the first thing we need to know is all 4 angles in the shape are going to add up to 360. We know that. We wrote that in our chart, okay? All 4 angles are going to add up to 360. Now the consecutive angles, what does consecutive mean? Well, that means the angles that are next to each other. So I'm talking about this angle right there and this angle right there are supplementary. That's a long word. I didn't leave enough space for that. Supplementary, which means they add up to 180. So these 2 right here are going to add up and they're going to equal 180. Because consecutive means they are the ones that are next to each other. And the other consecutive angles over here are also this angle up here and this angle down here. They also add up to 180. They do not have to be equal, okay? And then the last thing we need to know is about the mid segment. Now the mid segment is the segment, aka the line, that goes through the middle of the shape. Now since I've kind of drawn on it, sorry. It's so if you see a trapezoid and it has a big line going through the middle, that is the mid segment. Okay, and to figure out how long that mid segment is, you're going to do 1/2 times B1 plus B2. Now, what are B1 and B2? Well, those are the parallel sides. So that stands for base. So up here is base 1, base 2. So you would add those together. Times 1/2 is going to be how long the line in the middle is. Okay? So that's just for regular trapezoids. If we have a special trapezoid, isosceles trapezoid, what does isosceles mean? Well, it's going to have all the properties that we just talked about because it is a trapezoid. So these 2 add up to 180. These 2 add up to 180. Base 1 plus base 2 times 1/2 is the middle. Okay. Plus, it has extra ones. So it has 1 pair of congruent sides. So how do I know if it's isosceles? Is going to be if I see little tick marks on the not parallel sides. If I see the not parallel sides are congruent with the little tick marks, then I know it's isosceles. And if I know it's isosceles, then I know that the base angles are equal, congruent. So that means this angle down here, new color, this angle down here and this angle over here, they are congruent to each other. They are equal. Now, if those 2 are equal, then we know also the angles up here are also going to be equal. This only happens when you have the little tick marks on the sides. If we're talking about just a regular old, then no, it does not do that. These 2 would not be equal. But down here, when I see the tick marks, oh, they're equal. And these 2 would still add up to 180. So with all this information, let's do some practice questions. How am I going to do this? So number 1 says solve for x. So first thing, these are my parallel sides, okay? Not congruent, those are parallel. So I'm checking, is it isosceles? Do I see the tick marks on the not parallel sides? No. So no equal angles. If it's not isosceles, then no equal angles. So what do I use if they're not equal? Well, the x and the 46, those are angles. So I'm going to look at my regular trapezoids notes. What do I know about the angles? Well, I know the consecutive angles are supplementary, adding up to 180. So where are my, that's the wrong way. Where are my consecutive angles? Well, these are going to add up to 180. We like. And these ones over here would add up to 180. Now, okay, well, I circled two of them. The x and the 46, they are consecutive. So we're going to be adding them up to 180. That's the equation I'm going to write. 46 plus x equals 180. If I had 46 here and x all the way over here in the purple circle, then I don't know nothing about those because they are not consecutive. But these ones are consecutive, so adds up to 180. So how do I solve this equation? I just minus 46. Minus 46. And I get x equals what? At 180 minus 46, you just type that in the calculator, and that's going to be 134. Okay? Easy. Easy, easy. Where's my thing? There we go. Next question. It says solve for x. The first thing I'm checking, is this isosceles? Do I see the tick marks? Yes, I do. That's what these are. Yes. So I'm looking at my picture and it says isosceles. Yes, we figured that out. So I'm going to look at the isosceles. What do I know about isosceles and the angles? The base angles were equal. The base angles were equal. So the ones side to side should be equal. So I'm going to circle my side to side angles. So these ones should be equal. And these ones should also be equal. Okay. So the two angles I circled are both, they are the base angles. Because I circled the base angles. And we know base angles are equal. So then that is the equation I'm going to write, is that this one angle equals the other angle. So what do we got? 26x minus 15 is equal. This angle equals the other angle, 20x plus 3. We're going to solve this equation. How do I solve it? Well, I got to move x's so they are on the same side. So minus 20x. Goodbye x. 3 drops down. Negative 15 drops down. 26 minus 20 is 6x. Now we're moving the 15 to the other side, so plus 15. Plus 15. 6x drops down. 15 about plus 15 gone. 3 plus 15 is 18. And divide by 6. Okay. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Okay. Let's pretend, so this is the answer, yes, I have solved this question correctly. Well, what if the two angles that I had, like what if I had, I don't know, 56x minus 30. What if I had that up there and I was supposed to be solving for x and this wasn't here? Well, if this wasn't here, I know that these ones are equal and these ones are equal. These are not in the same circle. They're not in the groups of equals. If they're not equal, then what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to look back. I can't use this specific property for isosceles. So I would look back and say, oh, the consecutive ones still add up to 180. That still happens in an isosceles. So if I was trying to solve this, I would say, oh, that those add up to 180. So if that was the equation, I would do 26x, not plus, minus 15. Minus 15 plus 56x minus 30 equals 180. That's still a thing. If I was trying to solve, and this is what they gave me, I can still do a 180 equation in an isosceles trapezoid. That is still allowed. I can also do the equal like I just did. Okay, so you need to figure out, are the two angles that they're giving me, are they the base angles, either the base on the bottom or base on the top? Or are they the consecutive angles which are next to each other? Okay. All right, so in this one, these numbers are not on angles, so we need to switch gears. We're not thinking about angles now. In this one, I'm seeing that this line in the middle, that's my mid segment. Oh, That's what it looks like. Why? Stop clicking the pen. Mid-segment. Okay, so if I'm doing mid-segment, I'm going to look up mid-segment. Here's mid-segment. So I need to use this formula, 1/2 B1 plus B2. Here we go. So mid-segment equals 1/2, hello, B1 plus B2 plus. Okay, great. So I need to figure out in here, what is B1, what is B2, and what is the mid-segment. So what are my two bases? Those are going to be the numbers that are not in the middle. I labeled this mid-segment already. So B1, that's one of the bases. B2 is this. I'm going to plug those in for B1 and B2. So I have 1/2. B1 we just said was 21 plus B2 was 35 equals my mid-segment was X. Yay me. So I'm going to solve this. Now, since this entire side of the equation is numbers, I can type all of that into Desmos at the same time. So here we go. In Desmos, we're doing 1/2. Go over parentheses 21 plus, what did it say? 35. Click back into that. 35. Close parentheses. Is 28. Good times. We just type that in the calculator and we get 28 equals X. So that is the length of my mid-segment. Please, to double check yourself, how do I know if it's possibly correct? This number better be in the middle of your two bases. It's got to be in between 21 and 35. 28 is a number between 21 and 35, so I know it's at least possibly correct. All right, number 4. It's the same type of question because I still see this line in the middle. That's my mid-segment. Mid-segment. Okay, so I'm going to use my mid-segment formula again. So mid-segment equals the 1/2 B1 plus B2. Let's label what's our base 1 and base 2. B1, B2. Sure, it does not matter which one you say is B1 or B2. It makes no difference. Okay, so this time I said B1 was 22 plus B2 was X. And our mid-segment this time is 15. So for mid-segment, I'm putting 15 on this side. Equals sign. Now I got to solve this equation. So what am I going to do? Well, we know that 1/2 as a decimal, 1/2, I can write that as 0.5. So we're going to do that. Why are we going to do that? Well, that's going to make our life easier. We're going to distribute that 0.5 into our parentheses, okay? So what does that mean? That means multiply. This is an Algebra 1 skill. So 0.5 times 22, 0.5 times X. So I'm going to type that in. 0.5 times 22 is 11. So I got 11. 0.5 times X is just 0.5X. Lucky us. Okay, I'm trying to get X alone. Next step, I gotta move my regular number back to the other side. So I'm gonna move 11 minus 11 to the other side. Goodbye 11. I am left with 0.5X. Equal sign. 15 minus 11, you could type in the calculator. I know it's 4. Okay, last step of pretty much every equation is divide. So I'm gonna divide by 0.5. Dividing by 0.5. We're going to type that in. 4 divided by 0.5 is 8. So here we go. We got X equals 8. Final answer. Okay. Notice how the solving process is different. If you have one of the bases, you're going to have to distribute and solve. If your X is the mid-segment, then it's easy. You just type it in and you get your answer like we did in number 3. Easy. Okay. So with all of this information, you're going to go ahead and start the formative. Make sure if you have questions or you're not sure if you're setting up equations right, make sure you send a message to your teacher asking, like, am I doing this right? So go ahead and click the link for the formative.